The diplomatic summit between Earth and the Terril Confederacy ended in disaster when young Hanbit Kim, daughter of Earth's senior diplomat, failed to return with the delegation. What was supposed to be humanity's formal introduction to the galactic community instead became the catalyst for unprecedented military mobilization. When intercepted alien communications revealed Hanbit was being subjected to neural extraction protocols by Terril intelligence officers seeking Earth's defense secrets, the planet's response was immediate and unified. The meeting had started with such promise. After decades of distant observations and cautious radio communications, the Terril had finally invited Earth to send representatives to their embassy station orbiting Jupiter. The world watched with hope as 12 of humanity's brightest minds boarded the sleek shuttle that would take them to meet our cosmic neighbors. Hanbit wasn't originally meant to be there. At 19, she was studying xenolinguistics at Seoul University, already showing remarkable talent for breaking down communication barriers. When her father, diplomat Taiwan Kim, mentioned difficulties understanding subtle Terril expressions during practice communications, Hanbit offered insights that caught the attention of the delegation committee. They invited her as a cultural interpreter, a decision that would change the course of human history. The 5-day summit seemed productive. The Terril, with their tall, willowy bodies and six-fingered hands, appeared genuinely interested in peaceful relations. They shared information about nearby star systems and seemed impressed by Earth's art and music. Hanbit quickly became a favorite among the alien representatives, her quick mind and respectful questions earning apparent admiration. On the final day, as the delegation prepared to return home, the Terril requested Hanbit stay behind for a cultural exchange ceremony. Supposedly a great honor. Her father hesitated but ultimately agreed when assured she would follow on a diplomatic vessel the next day. That ship never arrived. The first 24 hours were filled with polite inquiries met with increasingly vague responses. By the third day, with communications becoming strained, Earth's military began monitoring all Terril transmissions. What they discovered chilled everyone who heard it. The human subject continues to resist standard neural extraction protocols, said one. Intercepted message. Recommend increased stimulus application despite risk of permanent cognitive damage. The defense system's data must be recovered before their delegation realizes our true intentions. Back on Earth, in the underground command center beneath Geneva, world leaders gathered in emergency session. Screens displayed the intercepted communications, translated into a dozen languages. They think we're hiding something, said Defense Minister Yonghua Lee, her voice tight with anger. They believe we have advanced weapon systems we didn't disclose, and they're trying to tear that information from Hanbit's mind. But we weren't hiding anything, protested the European Union representative. We shared everything we have. Everything they saw, corrected Admiral Jinho Park, stepping forward from the shadows at the back of the room. But not everything we have. A hush fell over the room as Admiral Park placed his palm on the table's scanner. The center of the table glowed, and a three-dimensional projection appeared showing Earth, the Moon, and beyond. Across this map, thousands of tiny red dots blinked into existence, hidden throughout the solar system. After the asteroid war of 2089, when we nearly destroyed ourselves fighting over space resources, the world governments made a secret pact. We would appear divided to outsiders, but would build a unified defense force unlike anything in human history, hidden from potential threats beyond our system. The room erupted in shocked murmurs. Most leaders present had no knowledge of this program. For 70 years we've been building. Using stealth technology and gravity masking, we've created shipyards inside asteroids, beneath the lunar surface hidden in Jupiter's clouds. We now command a fleet that could reduce a planet to ash, but we built it hoping never to use it. President Hannah Kwon stood slowly, silencing the room. These aliens took a child of Earth, thinking us weak and divided. They're hurting her, right now trying to find secrets that don't exist. She looked around the table. I propose we show them exactly what they were looking for. The vote was unanimous. Within hours, emergency broadcasts went out worldwide. People gathered around screens as President Kwon addressed humanity. Citizens of Earth, Today, we face our first true contact with an alien power. They have responded to our peaceful outreach with deception and violence, taking one of our own, a brilliant young woman whose only crime was helping us communicate with them. Today, we show the stars that humanity stands as one. Today, we show what happens when you threaten a child of Earth. As night fell across continents, people looked skyward. From hidden bases across the planet, massive ships rose silently into the atmosphere. From the Moon, from Mars, from bases hidden in asteroid belts and gas giant clouds, more vessels emerged. Military personnel who had trained in secret for generations reported to stations on ships they had never seen before. On screens worldwide, the Tyrell Embassy received Earth's single demand: return Han Bit Kim unharmed within 12 hours, or face the consequences. The Tyrell's response came quickly, a dismissive message claiming Hanbit was enjoying their hospitality and suggesting Earth's primitive vessels should not make threats they couldn't back. As the 12-hour deadline approached, Admiral Park sent one final message to the Tyrell Embassy. Look up. The embassy's scanners suddenly detected the truth: 800,000 human dreadnoughts moving into position, each capable of planetary bombardment. The largest military force the galaxy had ever seen, hidden in plain sight until this moment. Earth had awoken, and it was angry. Deep beneath the lunar surface, Admiral Do Yun Kim received the activation codes with grim determination. As Hanbit's father, he had recused himself from tactical planning, but would oversee the strategic deployment of Earth's hidden fleet. Begin emergence protocol, he ordered. All sectors simultaneous deployment. Across the solar system, massive hidden shipyards activated. What the Tyrell and other alien races had dismissed as a minor spacefaring civilization revealed its true nature. The dreadnoughts, each over 1 kilometer in length and bristling with weapon systems, centuries beyond what Earth had publicly displayed, began moving into formation. Meanwhile, despite her captivity, Hanbit managed to send vital intelligence back to Earth through her neural implants emergency protocols. The Lunar Command Center buzzed with controlled urgency as officers moved with practiced precision between holographic displays. Admiral Kim stood motionless at the center, his weathered face lit by the blue glow of tactical screens. Only the slight tremor in his hands betrayed the storm of emotions beneath his professional demeanor. "Sir, all command staff are at battle stations," reported Commander Minho, sliding a tablet across the glass table. "The fleet admirals await your orders." Du Yun nodded, taking a deep breath before pressing his palm against the scanner. His DNA and retinal patterns unlocked humanity's greatest secret, the Guardian's Protocol. Across the vast chamber, a massive display flickered to life, showing the faces of 7 fleet admirals stationed throughout the solar system. Each commanded a battle group that had trained in isolation for decades, waiting for this moment. "It's time," Do Yun said simply. "Operation Daybreak is now active." The response was immediate. Throughout the solar system, what had appeared to be ordinary asteroids, moons, and cloud formations began to change. On Mars, an entire mountain range shimmered and vanished, revealing miles of underground hangars. Within Jupiter's Great Red Spot, massive construction facilities emerged from the swirling gases. Even Earth's oceans parted in places as platforms rose from abyssal depths. The first dreadnought to emerge from lunar soil cast a shadow across the Sea of Tranquility. Named Defiance, it served as humanity's flagship. Its hull gleamed with a material that absorbed rather than reflected light, making it seem like a moving piece of night. Behind it came hundreds, then thousands more, each representing decades of hidden technological development. "They're beautiful," whispered Lieutenant Jisoo, a young officer seeing the fleet for the first time. "They were never meant to be." "Seen," replied Do Yun softly. "Everyone represents a failure of peace." Across Earth, citizens watched in awe as the hidden fleet revealed itself. Many had lived their entire lives never knowing that a significant portion of the world's economy had secretly funded this massive project. Now they understood why certain technologies had been kept from public use, why certain scientific breakthroughs had disappeared from publications. In orbit around Jupiter, the Tyrell Embassy Station continued its regular transmissions, completely unaware of what was happening throughout the solar system. Their sensors, calibrated to detect conventional engine signatures and power sources, registered nothing unusual about the sudden disappearance of several small asteroids or changes in Jupiter's atmospheric patterns. Admiral called a communications officer. "We're receiving a signal. It's from Han-bit." Do-yun's head snapped up. "Put it through immediately." The signal was weak, fragmented, but unmistakably created by human technology. Years earlier, when Han-bit turned 16, she had received what she thought was a standard diplomatic security implant. In reality, it was a highly sophisticated emergency beacon and data transmission device designed for exactly this kind of situation. "They've sedated me, but I can still think," Han-bit's broken message came through. "The neural machine. They're using... It works both ways. I can see their plans." Despite the static and interruptions, the message contained crucial information. Han-bit had managed to access the Tyrell military database through their own neural interface. The aliens had severely underestimated human neural plasticity and Han-bit's exceptional mind. "They have weapons, but not like ours," she continued. "They're ships, vulnerable at junction points, between command and engine sections. They don't expect resistance. They think Earth only has in the public fleet." As tactical officers began analyzing the schematics Han-bit had managed to transmit, Do-yun struggled to maintain his composure. His daughter was fighting back even, while captive, providing Earth with vital information that could save countless lives. "Sir," said Commander Minho gently, "with this intelligence, we can reduce Tyrell casualties by targeting only key systems. Non-lethal takedowns of their vessels become possible." Do-yun nodded, grateful that even now a path existed that didn't require wholesale slaughter. "Update all tactical systems with this information. Our primary objective remains the safe recovery of all human captives." Throughout the solar system, the massive dreadnoughts continued their emergence. Their design represented a philosophical approach to warfare unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Built not by a warlike species bent on conquest, but by a peaceful one determined never to be conquered, they incorporated technologies developed specifically for precision and restraint alongside overwhelming firepower. On the bridge of the Defiance, Fleet Admiral Seo Jin took command of the unified fleet. "All vessels, move to phase line Alpha. Maintain stealth protocols until we cross Mars orbit." On Earth, as the public watched the unfolding events, something remarkable happened. Despite the fear and anger at what the Tyrell had done, people around the world held candlelight vigils for peace. They weren't celebrating the might of the fleet, but hoping it would achieve its mission without unnecessary bloodshed. As the 800,000 dreadnoughts moved into their final formation, forming a sphere around the solar system before beginning their advance toward Tyrell space, Admiral Do-yun Kim made a system-wide announcement. "For generations we built in secret, hoping this day would never come. We created the most powerful fleet in history, not because we hunger for war, but because we cherish peace so deeply that we would defend it with all our might. Today we move to rescue our people and secure our future, carrying with us the hopes of every human on Earth that this show of strength will lead not to destruction, but to a lasting peace." As the words echoed across the fleet, the first wave of dreadnoughts activated their main engines, accelerating toward the stars with Han-bit's intelligence guiding their approach. The sleeping giant was fully awake, and the galaxy would never be the same. 800,000 dreadnoughts confirmed in formation, Admiral, reported Commander Ji-ho Lee. The scale of humanity's response shocked the galactic community. Species that had observed Earth for centuries had somehow missed the vast military infrastructure hidden throughout the solar system. As the Armada methodically neutralized Tyrell outposts on its path toward their core worlds, diplomatic channels flooded with messages from previously hostile alien civilizations suddenly declaring neutrality. The Tyrell leadership, desperate to survive, transferred Han-bit to their homeworld as leverage, unaware that each human vessel carried elite recovery teams with a single purpose, bringing her home. On the observation deck of the flagship Defiance, Admiral Do-yun Kim stood in silence as the fleet moved past the orbit of Neptune. The massive view screen showed an endless sea of warships stretching into the darkness, their running lights creating what looked like a new galaxy born of human determination. "It's hard to believe we kept this secret for so long," said Commander Jiho, joining him at the viewport. "Humans are surprisingly good at keeping secrets when we all agree on why," replied Do-Yun. "Every worker who built these ships knew they were protecting their families. The fleet moved in perfect coordination. A dance of vessels so massive, they each contained cities within their hulls. Each dreadnought housed 15,000 crew members, hydroponics bays, manufacturing centers, and weapon systems that could target a coffee cup from orbit without harming anything beside it. At the edge of the solar system, the Armada encountered their first Terril listening post, a small station hidden within a comet's tail. Before the aliens could send a warning, specialized human vessels surrounded it, cutting all communications. "Boarding team reports 12 Terril personnel captured," reported a tactical officer. "No casualties on either side. They've secured the station's data core." Do-Yun nodded with approval. "Send them the standard terms of surrender. They'll be treated fairly and return to their people once this is over." As the fleet advanced beyond Sol's boundary, sensors detected unusual activity. Dozens of vessels from various alien civilizations had positioned themselves to observe the human armada from a safe distance. "They're staying well outside weapons range," noted Security Chief Yoon Hee. "Our intelligence suggests these are primarily scientific and diplomatic vessels." Do-Yun understood the significance. For centuries, Earth had been watched by these species, studied like specimens in a cosmic zoo. Many had believed humans were primitive, their occasional ventures into space nothing but clumsy first steps. Some had even made plans to eventually colonize Earth, seeing humans as a minor obstacle to be dealt with later. Now those same civilizations watched in stunned silence as humanity revealed the truth. The first true test came 3 days later, when the fleet approached the Terril border outpost at Proxima Centauri. A defensive formation of 80 Terril warships moved to intercept, weapons charged. "They're hailing us," announced Communications Officer Dae-Jung. The main screen filled with the image of a Terril commander, the blue-gray skin around his eyes tight with controlled fear. "Human vessels, you have entered Terril-protected space. Your presence in such numbers is considered an act of war. Withdraw immediately." Admiral Kim stepped forward. "Return all human captives, beginning with Han-Bit Kim, and we will discuss terms. Until then, each step we take deeper into your territory is your choice, not ours." The Terril commander's expression shifted subtly. "We have no knowledge of any human captives." "Then you have no knowledge of what's about to happen," replied Do-Yun calmly, signaling to end the transmission. What followed was unlike any battle in human history. The dreadnoughts didn't fire a single shot. Instead, they simply advanced, their massive hulls creating a wall of impenetrable metal. The Terril vessels fired energy weapons that splashed harmlessly against advanced shields. When they launched missiles, precision defense systems neutralized them kilometers from their targets. The human fleet simply continued forward, like a tide that could not be stopped, engulfing the Terril ships. Specialized vessels moved alongside, each enemy combatant deploying electromagnetic pulses that disabled their systems without destroying the ships or harming their crews. Within 20 minutes, 80 Terril warships floated powerless, their crews unharmed but unable to fight or flee. "Send medical and engineering teams to each vessel," ordered Do-Yun. "I want those crews treated well and their life support systems back online within the hour." News of the encounter spread quickly throughout the galaxy. The humans had demonstrated not just overwhelming force, but unprecedented restraint. They could have vaporized the Terril ships, but had chosen a more difficult path that preserved life. In the following days, the fleet encountered 3 more defensive lines, each larger than the last. Each time, the result was the same: disabled ships, captured crews, 0 casualties. Meanwhile, on the Terril homeworld, the High Council gathered in emergency session. "How is this possible?" demanded Council Leader Vaxtor, slamming his 6-fingered hand onto the table. "Their vessels weren't detected until they were already inside our territory." "Their technology exceeds our projections by centuries," admitted Defense Minister Kelnar. "The human we captured She knows nothing of these capabilities. They kept their true strength hidden even from their own people. "Where is the human now?" asked another counselor. "Being transferred here, to the capital," replied Kelnar. "If these humans want her back so badly, perhaps she will be useful as leverage." What the Teriel didn't realize was that every word of their meeting was being monitored. Hanbit's neural implant, still functioning despite their efforts to disable it, transmitted their plans back to the approaching fleet. Aboard the recovery ship Nightshade, Captain G1 briefed his team. 20 men and women, representing the best special operators from nations around Earth, listened intently as he displayed a holographic map of the Teriel capital. "They're moving Hanbit to their central government complex," he explained. "The good news is they're keeping her alive as a bargaining chip. The bad news is they'll be watching her closely." Sergeant Hae-Jin, the team's medical specialist, studied Hanbit's latest transmitted neural patterns. "She's fighting their sedatives. Her implant shows elevated cognitive activity despite the drugs. This girl is something else." As the fleet continued its advance, alien civilizations that had previously aligned with the Teriel scrambled to reconsider their positions. Diplomatic channels, dormant for years, suddenly became active with messages directed to Earth. The Volturi Conclave. "Fuzz offering safe passage through their territory," reported Diplomatic Officer Minje. "The Azrani Republic has declared neutrality and withdrawn their support for Teriel defense operations." Admiral Kim received each message with the same response. "We have no quarrel with any species that respects humanity's sovereignty and returns any human captives they may hold." One by one, former Teriel allies stepped aside, creating a clear path for the human armada. Some even provided intelligence about Teriel defenses and the locations of other human captives held throughout Teriel space. As the fleet approached the heart of Teriel territory, Do-Yun Kim received a personal message from Hanbit, transmitted through her implant. "Father, they're scared, not just of our ships, but of what we represent. They built their empire believing they were the most advanced species in this sector. Now they know they were wrong. Don't let this turn into a slaughter. There's a chance for something better on the other side of this." Even in captivity, his daughter was thinking beyond rescue, beyond victory to what might come after. Do-Yun felt a surge of pride amid his worry. As the massive fleet continued its unstoppable advance toward the Teriel homeworld, he made a silent promise, not just to bring Hanbit home, but to make her hope for a better future come true. The human armada arrived at the Teriel homeworld with surgical precision. Admiral Kim implemented a strategy of targeted strikes against military installations while avoiding civilian populations. "We are not like them," he reminded his commanders. On the planet's surface, Captain Sunmi Kang led the extraction team through the Imperial fortress where Hanbit was being held. What they discovered in the facility's databases was chilling. The Teriel had been studying human pain responses as preparation for a planned invasion of Earth. Despite weeks of captivity, they found Hanbit weakened but resilient. As they escaped, she revealed the worst news. "There are more of us here. They've been taking humans for years." The Teriel homeworld hung in space like a blue-green jewel, its 3 moons forming a protective triangle around the planet. As the human fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel, sensors immediately mapped the entire defensive grid: orbital platforms, surface-to-space weapons, and a protective fleet of several thousand warships. In the command center of the Defiance, Admiral Do-Yun Kim studied the holographic display with his senior officers. "Their civilian population centers are highlighted in green," he said, pointing to clustered lights across the planet's surface. "No strikes within 50 kilometers of those zones. Our targets are military only, marked in red." Commander Ji-Ho frowned at the display. "Sir, their military bases are deliberately positioned near population centers. They're using their own people as shields." Do-Yun nodded grimly. "Then we'll need to be more precise than they anticipated. Prepare the Ghost squadrons." Within minutes, 500 specialized stealth vessels detached from the main fleet. Unlike the massive dreadnoughts, these ships were small, fast, and completely undetectable by Teriel sensors. Each carried a tactical team of 30 operators, the best Earth had to offer. The Teriel defense fleet, moved to engage the human dreadnoughts, expecting a frontal assault. Instead, the massive vessels held position just beyond weapons range, their presence a distraction, while the real operation unfolded. Captain Sun-Mi Kang sat strapped in the acceleration couch of Ghost 117 as it sliced through the terrestrial atmosphere. At 38, she had spent 20 years in special operations, but nothing had prepared her for this mission. Her team of 29 operators represented 9 different nations, all united by a single purpose. 30 seconds to drop, announced the pilot. Sensors confirm the target location. Security appears heavier than intelligence suggested. Sun-Mi checked her gear one last time. The adaptive armor hugged her body like a second skin, capable of deflecting energy weapons while maintaining complete freedom of movement. They know we're coming for her. They just don't know how. The ghost ship settled into a hover 200 meters above the Imperial fortress, completely invisible to terrestrial detection systems. One by one, the team members dropped through, hovering. Gravity fields that slowed their descent to a gentle landing on different sections of the massive roof. Team 2 in position at the East Ventilation Hub, reported Lieutenant Tae-ho through the neural comm link. Team 3 securing the power regulation node, added Sergeant Ju-won. Sun-Mi moved with her squad toward the central dome where Hanbit's implant signal originated. Remember, our priority is extraction of the primary target, but be alert for other human captives. Intel suggests there may be more. The Imperial fortress sprawled across 5 square kilometers, its architecture a blend of functionality and intimidation. Massive spires rose into the cloudy sky, while underground levels extended deep into the planet's crust. Instead of blasting their way in, the human teams used terrestrial access codes extracted from captured outposts. They moved like shadows through service corridors and maintenance tubes, avoiding patrols when possible, and using non-lethal methods when confrontation couldn't be avoided. Sun-Mi's team reached the high-security research wing first. Through specialized visors, they could see the complex web of security systems designed to keep people in rather than out. "I've got a match on the primary target's biometrics," whispered Corporal Minji, the team's technical specialist. 2 levels down, central laboratory complex. Heavy security presence. Sun-Mi made a quick decision. Team 2, create a diversion in the East Wing. Team 3, stand by to cut power to all security systems on my mark. What followed was a masterclass in coordination. At precisely the same moment, an explosion rocked the East Wing. The power to the security systems failed, and Sun-Mi's team breached the laboratory level. They encountered 12 terrestrial guards outside a reinforced door. The aliens were tall and imposing, but unprepared for close-quarters combat with humans trained specifically to counter their physiology. The team used focused sonic weapons that affected terrestrial inner ear balance while leaving humans unharmed. Within seconds, all 12 guards were incapacitated, without a single shot fired. When they breached the laboratory door, Sun-Mi was first inside. What she saw stopped her cold. In the center of the room, Hanbit lay on an examination table, connected to machines by a web of tubes and sensors. 3 terrestrial scientists worked at nearby consoles, so focused on their data, they didn't immediately notice the human intrusion. "Hands where I can see them," Sun-Mi ordered, her translator converting her words to the harsh clicks of terrestrial language. The scientists turned in shock, their 6-fingered hands rising slowly. Medic Hee-jin rushed to Hanbit's side, quickly assessing her condition. "She's heavily sedated but stable. Give me 2 minutes to disconnect these safely." While the medic worked, Sun-Mi approached the main console. The display showed comparative data, human neurological responses alongside terrestrial baselines. Even without understanding the alien language, the images told a clear story. They were systematically testing pain thresholds, fear responses, and breaking points. "Download everything," she ordered Minji. "We need to know exactly what they were doing and why." As Minji connected to the system, alerts suddenly flashed across the screens. "Captain, these files are connected to a larger database. There's more, much more. They've been abducting humans for at least 15 years, mostly lone travelers, people who wouldn't be missed immediately." Sun-Mi felt cold rage building, but forced it down. How many? At least 73 subjects, documented in this facility alone, and references to 5 other research centers across their territory. Hyojin finished disconnecting Hanbit from the machines. The young woman's eyes fluttered open, struggling to focus. "You're safe now," Sunmi told her gently. "We're taking you home." Hanbit grabbed her wrist with surprising strength. "The others," she whispered hoarsely. "3 levels down, I heard them screaming." Sunmi didn't hesitate. "Team 2, adjust your route. We have additional packages 3 levels below our position. Hyojin, get Hanbit to Extraction Point Alpha. The rest of you with me." As they moved deeper into the facility, the evidence of the Terrell's true intentions became increasingly clear. The data Minji continued to download revealed a systematic program to study human weaknesses in preparation for a full-scale invasion of Earth. The Tyrell had concluded that humanity's apparent technological limitations made Earth ripe for colonization. A large detention center 3 levels down, the team found 28 humans in various states of health. Some had been captive for years, subjected to experiments too terrible to contemplate. Despite their condition, many helped carry those too weak to walk as the extraction team led them to safety. Outside, the battle for Tyrell Prime continued. The dreadnoughts had begun precise strikes against military targets, their weapons capable of destroying a bunker, while leaving structures just meters away untouched. Admiral Kim's strategy was working. Military capability was being systematically dismantled, while civilian casualties remained at 0. As Ghost 117 lifted off with Hanbit and the other rescued captives aboard, Sunmi took one last look at the Imperial Fortress. Several sections were now in flames, but the civilian districts beyond remained untouched. The message was clear: humanity had the power to destroy them completely, but chose precision instead. In the medical bay, Hanbit regained enough strength to sit up as her father's face appeared on the communication screen. "We found them, Admiral," reported Sunmi. "Your daughter and 28 others. But sir, there's more. This was bigger than we thought." Hanbit looked directly at her father, her voice weak but determined. "Dad, they were studying us, learning how to break us. They were planning to take Earth. They just didn't expect us to fight back like this." Admiral Kim's expression remained composed, but his eyes revealed the storm within. "Rest now," he told his daughter gently. "You're coming home, all of you." As the rescue ships rejoined the fleet, the battle for Tyrell Prime entered its final phase. Humanity had come not just for one of their own, but for all, and the galaxy was watching. In the aftermath, humanity established itself as the dominant power in the sector. Rather than annihilation, Earth instituted a program of liberation and reconstruction. The remaining human captives were freed from Tyrell research facilities scattered across their territory. "We came with overwhelming force not for vengeance but for justice," explained Ambassador Junseo Choi at the newly formed Galactic Council. Earth maintained a permanent presence of dreadnoughts in former Tyrell space, ensuring compliance with new interspecies laws against experimentation on sentient beings. Hanbit, after recovery, chose to work as a liaison between humans and reformed Tyrell communities. The message to the galaxy was clear. Humanity had hidden its strength not out of weakness, but restraint, a restraint that, when pushed too far, would reveal a power that could reshape the stars. The central chamber of the newly constructed Galactic Council headquarters buzzed with tension. Representatives from 27 spacefaring civilizations gathered in the massive circular hall, their differences in appearance highlighting the diversity of life in this corner of the galaxy. At the center podium stood Ambassador Junseo Choi of Earth, his posture relaxed but commanding. "3 months ago, many of you viewed humans as primitive newcomers to galactic affairs," he began, his voice carrying through the perfect acoustics of the chamber. "Today we meet as equals, perhaps not in age, but certainly in capability and in our right to exist without fear." The Tyrell delegation sat in a position of diminished status, their once elaborate ceremonial robes replaced by simple grey attire. Their government had been dismantled, their military command structure removed from power. What remained was a provisional civilian authority, closely monitored by human peacekeepers. "The evidence recovered from Tyrell research facilities has been shared with all member species," continued Junseo. gesturing to the data terminals in front of each delegation. 142 humans were taken over a 15-year period. Each was subjected to experiments designed to identify weaknesses that could be exploited during a planned invasion of Earth. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Many species had already reviewed the evidence, but hearing it stated so plainly in this formal setting gave it new weight. What humanity chose to do in response defines us more than our military capability, Junseo said. We could have destroyed the Teriel completely. Our dreadnoughts could have turned their homeworld to ash. Instead, we disabled their military. While protecting civilian populations, we removed those responsible for these crimes while offering a path forward for those who weren't. On an observation platform above the chamber floor, Hanbit Kim watched the proceedings with quiet intensity. At her side stood Admiral Do-Yun Kim, now serving as Earth's military liaison to the Council. The physical signs of Hanbit's captivity had mostly faded, though occasional nightmares still disrupted her sleep. What hadn't diminished was her determination to prevent similar atrocities in the future. Today, Earth proposes the Sentient Rights Accord, Junseo announced, triggering a holographic display in the center of the chamber. The document rotated slowly for all to see. A binding agreement that establishes baseline protections for all sentient beings regardless of species, technological development or military power. The Azrani representative, a being of crystalline structure whose thoughts manifested as colored lights, signaled for recognition. Humanity speaks of rights and protection after revealing a military force capable of dominating us all. Some might see this as coercion rather than cooperation. Do-Yun leaned toward his daughter. "This is the moment that matters most," he whispered. "Not the fighting, but what comes after." Hanbit nodded. "They need to understand we're not conquerors." Junseo smiled at the Azrani's observation, a fair concern, which is why Earth has included Article 7 in the Accord, the Reduction Protocol. The holographic display zoomed in on this section of the document. Earth commits to reducing our military presence by 20% immediately upon ratification of this accord. Further reductions will follow as compliance is verified across member species. We built our fleet for defense, not dominion. We would prefer a galaxy where such weapons are unnecessary. A ripple of surprise moved through the chamber. No one had expected humanity to willingly reduce the very force that had established them as the dominant power. The Volturi delegate, an ancient species known for their caution, raised a tentacle. "And what guarantees that this reduction is genuine? That ships aren't simply being hidden once more?" Verification teams composed of representatives from all member species replied, "Junseo, complete access to Earth's shipyards and decommissioning facilities. We have nothing to hide. Not anymore." In the months that followed, the Sentient Rights Accord was ratified by 25 of the 27 species. Human recovery teams, working alongside allied races, located and freed the last of the captives held in remote Teriel facilities. Medical experts from a dozen worlds collaborated to treat the physical and psychological trauma of the victims. On the Teriel homeworld, a remarkable transformation began. Without their militaristic leadership, ordinary Teriel citizens began to engage with human peacekeepers. Many had been kept ignorant of their government's actions, fed propaganda about human aggression to justify military build-ups. Hanbit Kim played a crucial role in this healing process. Despite everything she had suffered, she volunteered to return to Teriel Prime as part of the cultural exchange program. Her first public address was broadcast across their world. "I could have chosen hatred," she told the crowd gathered in the former Imperial Plaza. "After what was done to me, many would say I had that right. Instead, I choose to see beyond the actions of your former leaders to the possibility of what we might build together." The response was unexpected. Thousands of Teriel citizens came forward with information about officials who had participated in the human experimentation program but escaped the initial justice operations. They too wanted a clean break from their past. Back on Earth, humanity was coming to terms with its new role in galactic affairs. The secret of the fleet was now public knowledge, and citizens debated the ethics of such massive military development without public consent. Yet most understood the necessity that had driven the decision decades earlier. In orbit around Earth, the decommissioning of hundreds of dreadnoughts proceeded as promised. Some were repurposed as exploration vessels or colony ships, their weapon systems replaced with scientific equipment. Others were transformed into massive habitats to ease Earth's population pressures. 6 months after the formation of the Galactic Council, a monument was unveiled in Geneva, a simple stone pillar bearing the names of all humans who had been taken. At the dedication ceremony, Admiral Do-Yoon Kim spoke not of victory, but responsibility. "We built 800,000 dreadnoughts, hoping never to use them," he told the assembled crowd. That they were needed reminds us of the darkness that can exist in any civilization. That we used them with restraint speaks to the light we choose to follow. Our power wasn't in our weapons, but in our choices. Hanbit stood beside her father, watching as the families of the recovered captives placed flowers at the base of the monument. Some hadn't survived their ordeal, but none had been forgotten. "What happens now?" she asked quietly. Do-Yun looked upward, where the stars were just becoming visible in the evening sky. "Now we help build something better than what came before. The fleet protected us from the worst possibilities. It's up to people like you to create the best ones." Across the galaxy, species that had once viewed Earth as an insignificant backwater now studied human history with newfound respect. They found a pattern repeated across centuries: tremendous capacity for both violence and compassion, technological innovation and ethical consideration, overwhelming force and measured response. The message echoed clearly through the stars. Humanity had hidden its strength not out of weakness, but restraint. A restraint that, when pushed too far, would reveal a power that could reshape the stars. But more importantly, a power that chose to build rather than destroy, to protect rather than conquer, to offer justice rather than vengeance. And in that choice lay humanity's true strength.